La Rambla, formerly also called Las Ramblas, Catalan Les Rambles, is an emblematic promenade in the city of Barcelona that runs between Plaça de Catalunya, the nerve center of the city, and the Old Port. The promenade is crowded during the day and late at night. It is marked by newsagents, flowers and others to replace the old stalls of small animals, mainly birds, street actors, cafes, restaurants and shops. Near the port there are usually markets, as well as painters and draftsmen. Walking along La Rambla, you can see several buildings of interest, such as the Palacio de la Virreina, as well as the La Boqueria market and the famous El Liceo theater, where operas and ballets are performed. One of the side streets, a few meters long, leads to the Plaza Real, a square with palm trees and buildings with arcades that house a multitude of breweries and restaurants, and where stamp and coin collectors meet on weekends. The existence of numerous flower stalls, which dyed the place with color, led the famous British writer, Somerset Maugham, to describe Las Ramblas as the most beautiful promenade in the world. The promenade of La Rambla leads to the Old Port, Plaza Portal de la Paz, where the famous statue of Christopher Columbus is located, and from there a wide walkway called Rambla de Mar leads to the Muelle de España, where the Mare Magnum shopping center is located. At the end of the mountain, and from Plaça de Catalunya, the upward path that follows the promenade along the Example until it meets Diagonal Avenue is called Rambla de Catalunya, considered an independent promenade from the one that runs through Ciutat Vella. In the immediate vicinity is the Maritime Museum, dedicated especially to naval history in the Mediterranean, and in which the full-scale reproduction of an old combat galley is exhibited. The museum is located in the Royal Shipyards from the Middle Ages, where the ships that connected the extensive domains of the Crown of Aragon in the Mediterranean were built. The Old Port offers other attractions, such as a leisure and shopping center, restaurants, an IMAX cinema, and the largest aquarium of Mediterranean marine fauna. In the historic center, very close to La Rambla, the Cathedral of Barcelona, the Plaça de Sant Jaime, which houses the buildings of the Generalitat of Catalonia and the Barcelona City Council, and the narrow streets of the Gothic Quarter, the Raval and the Born, are also interesting. The term Rambla is the form derived from the Arabic Ramla that refers to a sandy area. Origin: in the past, the Rira den Mullah passed through the current Rambla and went down the current Rambla to end at some point between the current Plaza del Duque de Medinaceli and Plaza de la Merced. With the construction of the Raval Wall in the 15th century, the stream was diverted. From that moment on, several convents were built, especially on the Raval side. The convents disappeared with the burning of convents in 1835 and were confiscated. In the space freed up by the disappearance of the convents, several facilities and public spaces were built for the city that still exist today, such as the Liceo, the Boqueria, and the Plaza Real. From 1859 onwards, plane trees began to be planted in the Dehesa de Girona. The first trees date back to 1702, when 280 poplars were planted and later replaced by elms. These were replaced again by acacias in 1832 to finally plant the aforementioned banana trees. In 1860, the Canalitas fountain was inaugurated. The sale of flowers dates back to the mid-19th century. The various Ramblas, the different sections of La Rambla, characteristic pavement forming waves on the Rambla. Florist in La Rambla. La Rambla receives different nomenclature in its different sections, so its name in the plural is also usual, Las Ramblas. From Plaça de Catalunya, the different sections are given the following names: Rambla de Canalitas, Rambla de los Estudios, so called because in this section was the old general studio, the predecessor of the university. Rambla de San Jose, Rambla de los Capuchinos, also known as Rambla del Centro. Rambla de Santa Monica, sale of animals on La Rambla. Rambles Atiques protesting in front of Barcelona City Hall. Although the Barcelona City Council implemented regulations to prevent the compulsive purchase of animals, where their exhibition to the public was prohibited among other regulations, there are still kiosks on La Rambla that continue with this practice. Animal rights organizations, such as the Ramblas Eticas platform, made up of Fada and Libera, have developed campaigns for years for vendors to comply with the ordinance and cease their activity for ethical and health reasons. From 2006 to date, Barcelona City Council has only given extensions to shopkeepers, offering alternatives, such as the refurbishment of their stalls or the change of economic activity. This activity ceased on Sunday, November 15, 2013, when the last owner, Mr. Cuenca, closed its doors. Demonstration on the Rambla. Free activities. During the month of March 2010, free activities were held on the Ramblas of Barcelona. The aim was to commemorate the cultural boiling point that was from the end of the 60s to the mid-80s. A tent was set up near draftsmen station from 1 to March 28th. Then the events were organized at the Palacio de la Virreina from March 25th to May 24th, 2010. Terrorist attack of August 17th, 2017. Main article, 2017 Catalonia bombings. 12 tourist attractions on Ramblas. Number 1. Plaça de Catalunya. Plaça de Catalunya, Catalan. Plaça de Catalunya is a central square in Barcelona, one of the nerve centers of the city. It has an area of 5 hectares. It is the beginning of the Ramblas. It is the point of union between the old center of the city and the Eixample. Important streets of the city start from here, such as the Rambla, Passeig de Gràcia, Rambla de Catalunya, or the roundabouts of the University and San Pedro, and Carrer de Palacio, as well as Avenida de Portal del Ángel, the city's main commercial artery, and the old Gate of the Walls. History. Until the walls were demolished, the space currently occupied by the square was an esplanade on the outskirts of the city located just in front of one of the main gates, from where roads to the surrounding towns departed. This made the place the ideal location for open-air markets and made it an important point in the life of the city. Subsequently, the walls were demolished and the construction of the ensanche, designed by Ildefonso Cerda, began. Cerda's urban plan did not include any square where Plaça de Catalunya now stands, since according to his plan the Gothic quarter, like the other nuclei of old towns on the plain of Barcelona, was relegated to peripheral neighborhoods, while the new center was to be a central and well-connected place, such as Plaça de les Glòries Catalanes, which Cerda designed with the aim of being the new epicenter, right at the crossroads of the city's main roads, Diagonal Avenue, Gran Via de las Cortes Catalanas, and Meridiana Avenue. Unlike the Cerda plan, the Rovira plan of 1859, the one preferred by the city council and the city's bourgeoisie, did provide for a large square at this point. The inertia of the use given to this space, combined with the fact that what was to become the Plaça de les Glòries Catalanes was only a wasteland away from any construction, led the city to occupy the site of Plaça de Catalunya, which theoretically should have been buildable, with cafes, theaters, and stalls for fairground vendors. Public art. Main article. Sculptures of Plaça de Catalunya. The Goddess by Josep Clara, with the monument to Masia de Subiracs and the Rambla in the background. The square also stands out for the numerous sculptures by important artists exhibited along its perimeter, including The Goddess by Josep Clara, Barcelona by Frederic Mares, and The Shepherd by Pablo Gargallo, as well as works by Josep Lamona, Enrique Casanovas, etc., or the monument to Francesc Masia by Josep Maria Subiracs. Much more recent work, 1991. The works in the subsoil, considered to be of great urban value, included the commercial galleries of Avenida de la Luz, currently the underground of the Triangle. Until the Civil War of 1936 to 1939, its cafés and restaurants, the Maison Dorée, the Colonne, the Luna, the Suez, were the center of many literary and political gatherings for the citizens. N-squared 2, Canalides Fountain, a beautiful black and gold fountain. The Canalides Fountain, Catalan, Font de Canalides, is a modest fountain lamppost in Barcelona that is one of the emblematic places in the city where fans of Football Club Barcelona celebrate their successes. It is located on the section of La Rambla called Rambla de Canalides, the first one going down from Plaça de Catalunya. History and description. The original fountain came from a deposit located in the tower of San Severo of the old medieval wall, which supplied the area of the Rambla and El Raval, originally from the 18th century. It had a cistern that was already called Canalides, perhaps because of the multiple canals that supplied various sources in the area from here. With the demolition of the walls in the 19th century, the old fountain disappeared when the tower was demolished in 1862. and in its place 2 provisional iron fountains were installed. In 1888, the Barcelona City Council agreed to replace it with another definitive fountain in the set of a project of 4 fountains lampposts located in various parts of the city, a project that was entrusted to Pedro Falks. The project was later extended to 14 fountains, awarded to John Rodels. The one in Canaletas was built in 1892. Made of cast iron, the fountain has a circular base on which stands a cup-shaped structure with 4 taps that pour the water into 4 circular basins. Above this canopy rises a column topped by 4 lampposts. The other fountains were placed in various places in the city, such as Portal del Ángel, Cara Mayor de Gracia, Placa de San Agustín Viejo, Ronda de San Pablo, Grand Via with Pau Claris, Placa del Ciudad, Placa de la Barceloneta, Grand Via with Rambla de Catalunya, Jardins de la Reina Victoria, the Calle Mayor de San Andrés, the Plaza de San Miguel, the Plaza de Santas Creas, the Plaza del Fénix, the Avenida de Esplugues, the Calle de San Adrián, the Plaza de la Infancia, and the Via Trajana. Some of them have already disappeared, such as the one in Portal de Santa Madrona/Montserrat, and the one in the Plaza de Tetuan. Anecdotes. It is famous for 2 reasons. Legend has it that whoever drinks its water will return to Barcelona. That is why, out of superstition, visitors who like the city drink its water if they hope to return to it one day. Fans gather here to celebrate the successes of FC. Number 3. Rambla de los Padrillos. Steves explains that this stretch of Las Ramblas was where, at one time, you would see many kiosks selling different types of animals that people could buy and keep as pets. Today, kiosks sell mostly ice cream and souvenirs. Number 4. Churches. There are a couple of churches on Las Ramblas and in the side streets. One is dedicated to Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus. We have walked to a cathedral. Since it was Sunday morning, there was a religious activity in the church, and it was not open to us tourists. Number 5. You will find a flower market on Las Ramblas. This small, but fragrant, section is where vendors sell their flowers and seeds. There were bags and bags of seeds at every kiosk. Some of the seeds would produce plants you've never seen before. You might find a bag of seeds that would turn into unusual-looking fruits. Number 6. La Boqueria Market. This is a very busy market, and we saw a lot of different foods and products. Once again, we saw things we've never seen before in America. The Mercado de San Jose, in Catalan Mercat de Sant Josep, popularly known as La Boqueria, in Catalan La Boqueria, is a municipal market located on the Rambla in Barcelona, Spain. In addition to being a place where you can buy all kinds of fresh products, it is also a tourist attraction. It has an area of 2,583 square meters, with more than 300 stalls, offering a wide variety of local and exotic products, both to private buyers and restaurateurs of the city. It is the largest market in Catalonia, the most varied in terms of food offer, and also the most visited by tourists. History. The market was inaugurated in 1840, but its origins are in the open air, in front of the gates of the old city, on the esplanade of the Llano de la Boqueria, where street vendors and farmers from the nearby villages and more settled in order to sell their products before the city left its first walls. This market was held outside the city walls to save the tax on the entry of goods. Before the market, the convent of San Jose was in the same place. In 1586, the Descalce Carmelites, called Els Jose Pets because they were the disseminators, with Teresa of Jesus at the head of the popular cult of the figure of Saint Joseph, founded the convent in the place where the market is today. As the Rambla became important as an urban promenade in the 18th century, it was considered necessary to remove the butchers' shops from its route, and they were moved, still very close, inland, next to the orchard of the convent of San Jose, which along with other convents in the area, was assaulted and burned during the anti-clerical riot instigated and led by some liberal politicians in Barcelona on the day of San Jaime, July 25, 1835. Number 7. The Heart of the Ramblas. Abstract artist, Mosaic on the Floor by Joan Miró. Joan Miró y Ferrer, Barcelona, April 20th, 1893. Palma de Mallorca, December 25th, 1983. Was a Spanish painter, sculptor, engraver, and ceramist. In his works, he reflected his interest in the subconscious of the childish and in the culture and traditions of Catalonia. Although he is associated with abstract art for his mature style of stylized and imaginary forms, in his youth he began figuration with strong Fauvist, Cubist, and Expressionist influences, moving on to a flat painting with a certain naive air, such as his well-known painting La Magia from 1920. From his stay in Paris, his work became more fanciful and dreamlike, coinciding with the points of surrealism and joining this movement. In numerous interviews and writings dating back to the 1930s, Moreau expressed his desire to abandon conventional methods of painting, in his own words, of killing, murdering, or raping them, in order to favor a form of expression that was contemporary, and not to want to bow to their demands and aesthetics, even to their commitments to the Surrealists. One of his major projects was the creation in 1975 of the Joan Miró Foundation, located in Barcelona, a cultural and artistic center to disseminate new trends in contemporary art, which was set up with a large collection of works donated by the author. Other places with important collections. Number 8. The next stop on your walking tour. It was not far from the Mosaic, but in front of Las Ramblas. This is a town square that has old bars and modern taverns with patio seating. I was excited to see this square, as I knew we would have the opportunity to see Gaudi's first public works, 2 colorful lampposts with helmets. Returning to Las Ramblas, you would look across the boulevard to see Palau Güell, another Gaudi project. Antoni Gaudi I Cornet, or Antonio Gaudi, June 25, 1852 to June 10, 1926, was a Spanish architect, the greatest representative of Catalan modernism. Gaudi was an architect with an innate sense of geometry and volume, as well as a great imaginative capacity that allowed him to mentally project most of his works before turning them into plans. In fact, he rarely made detailed plans of his works. He preferred to recreate them on three-dimensional models, molding all the details as he mentally devised them. On other occasions, he improvised as he went along, giving instructions to his collaborators on what they should do. Endowed with a strong intuition and creative capacity, Gaudi conceived his buildings in a global way, paying attention to both structural and functional and decorative solutions. He studied even the smallest detail of his creations, integrating into the architecture a whole series of crafts that he himself mastered to perfection: ceramics, glassmaking, iron forging, carpentry, etc. He also introduced new techniques in the treatment of materials, such as his famous trincades, made with pieces of waste ceramics. N²9, Community of the Raval. Here you will see some well-dressed human figures. They really tricked travelers into thinking they were statues. Statues must go through an audition and register with the city hall before they are allowed to perform here. You can take a picture of them or take a picture with them yourself. You can put your money in its bin if you want, or you can walk away after taking a photo. Some of the human figurines are very funny, and will provoke laughter from travelers. Some are so vivid that they look like real statues. In addition, some human statues have their names written on them. Some nameless human figurines leave you imagining. A living statue, also known as a human statue, usually refers to an artist posing as a statue or mannequin, usually wearing realistic statue-like makeup. The term living statue can also refer to art installations created by an artist using living people or other works created by a performing artist. History. Olga Desmond naked with clothes and pedestal. The tableau vivant, or group of living statues, was a regular feature of medieval and Renaissance festivities and spectacle, such as the royal entrances of rulers into cities. Usually, a group depicting a scene was mounted on an elaborate stand decorated to look like a monument, placed on the route of the procession. By a peculiarity of English law, nudity on stage was not permitted unless the performers remained motionless while the stage curtains were open. At the beginning of the 20th century, number 10, Columbus Monument, Barcelona. The Columbus Monument is a sculptural ensemble located in the Plaza del Portal de la Paz in Barcelona, in the Ciutat Vella district. Built in homage to the discoverer Christopher Columbus, it is erected at the junction point between Las Ramblas and Paseo de Colón, in front of the old port of Barcelona. The author of the project was the architect Cayetano Buigas, and several artists were involved in the sculptural decoration, such as Edouard B. Alentorn, Raphael H. Pere Carbonell, Manuel Fuxa, Josep Lamona, Rosen Nobas, Antoni Villanova, Francisco Pages, and Agapito Valmajana. The casting was by Alejandro Wolgmuth. The monument was built in the context of the works to improve the coastline of Barcelona, carried out on the occasion of the Universal Exhibition of Barcelona in 1888. Inaugurated on June 1, 1888. In the middle of the exhibition, it immediately became one of the most characteristic icons of the city. Inside the column, there is an elevator that allows you to go up to the semisphere located under the feet of the statue, from where you can see the city. This work is registered as a cultural asset of local interest, BCIL, in the Inventory of Catalan Cultural Heritage with the code 08019/859. History. Original sketch by Cayetano Buigas, in which the original design of the statue of the discoverer can be seen, without the arm raised. The idea of erecting a monument dedicated to the discoverer of America had arisen some time ago, when in the mid-19th century, it was thought to crown with a statue of the navigator the column erected in the Plaza del Duque de Medinaceli, which was finally dedicated to Admiral Galceran Marquez. The work of Francisco Daniel Molina, de Maya Campani, and Josep Aniset Santagosa, of 1851. The project arose again in 1873, in the times of the First Republic, being the place chosen the Portal de la Paz, at that time Plaza de la Junta Revolucionaria. However, the change of regime and the arrival of Alfonso XII to the throne delayed the project. The plan resurfaced in 1881, promoted by Antoni Fages I Ferrer, a promoter of cultural initiatives who was fond of everything related to the discovery of America. He convinced Carles Pirozzini, an art critic and municipal official, as well as one of the secretaries of the Universal Exhibition of 1888, who transmitted the idea to the Mayor Francisco de Paula Reyes y Taulet. After the mayor's approval, on May 10, 1881, the promoting commission, number 11, La Gamba sculpture. The prawn or gambrinus is a sculpture of large proportions, designed by the Spaniard Javier Mariscal. It represents a prawn. The work, inaugurated in 1989, began as an eye-catcher for one of the several restaurants on the Mall de la Fusta in Barcelona, designed by the architect Alfred Arribas, a friend of Mariscal. When the events of the 1992 Olympic Games ended, several bars and restaurants in the area had to close, including the restaurant that had Mariscal's work. After the closure of the premises and several subsequent litigations, the work remained in the same place, as belonging to the Barcelona City Council, and became a popular symbol of the remodeling that the Barcelona coastal area underwent shortly before the Olympic Games. In December 2004 it was restored. N² 12, La Cabeza de Barcelona, at the end of the promenade. It is worth walking to see this iconic sculpture.